All of you, welcome back to course of computing. Our today's topic of video is introduction to Kohennon self-organizing network. So in the last video we discussed about the competitive learning network. So we understand how competitive learning network works along with its architecture. Now in today's video we are going to discuss about self-organizing map, or also called as a Kohennon self-organizing network. See, the thing is very simple. Why it is called as a Kohennon self-organizing network? Because it is being introduced by a scientist Teuvo Kohennon. It was developed in the year of 1982 by Kohennon, a professor from Academy of Finland. That's why it is called as a Kohennon self-organizing network. Now let's discuss what exactly the Kohennon self-organizing network is. So it's a type of network which learns by its own through unsupervised competitive learning. That is what a self-organizing network or self-organizing map. It's a network which learns by its own, because in the name itself suggests self-organizing, means it will learn by its own through unsupervised competitive learning. We already understand what is competitive learning, where a set of nodes compete with each other in order to get selected or in order to get activated, and it is a computation based network model used for the clustering purpose. This is what the main thing about self-organizing map, and the learning procedure of this network is similar to the competitive learning network. So we understand competitive learning network, what is it? And Kohennon self-organizing network is used for the dimensionality reduction. Now the thing is that what do you mean by dimensionality reduction, and why do we require to reduce the dimensionality? So first of all we need to understand what do you mean by dimension. Dimension is nothing but an attribute or feature. Let's take a simple example. In order to recognize the student, what are the dimension of the student? Name, roll number, branch, phone number. These are called as attributes, feature, or you can say dimension. So this is what a dimension. And in case of a machine learning, what we need to do, we need to reduce the dimensional. Maybe you heard about the topic curse of dimensionality. So this self-organizing map is used to reduce the dimensionality reduction. That means n-dimensional, it is used to map n-dimensional problem to two-dimensional things or low dimension. So why it is necessary to reduce the dimension? Now let's take a simple example. I have two model. I have created a two model. I have created one model with, let's say, three attributes, and I have created another model M2 with four attributes. So generally it is found that if you increase the number of attributes, then the accuracy of model increases. What do you mean by model? Means you have used an algorithm, and in order to train a particular for training, what you have done, you will provide a data set to that algorithm, and whatever the output we got, that is nothing but a model. So in this case we'll create a two model. In model 1 we have provided three attributes from the data set in order to train a algorithm, so that we will get model M1, and we get another model M2 by providing four attributes to the model. So in this case, is it necessary that every time if we increase the number of dimension, then the accuracy of the model get increases? No. Now in order to demonstrate this, let's take a simple example. Again the same thing. Suppose the example is that I need to recognize a particular object as a ball. Okay, I need to recognize the ball. So in that case, in my data set I have provided three attributes. Let's say I have provided three attributes. So one attribute is circular in nature, second whether it is eatable or not, and third one is can we play with the help of this or not. So these are the three attributes I have provided to algorithm in order to train it, so that I will get the model. So by using this three attribute, I am trying to predict whether given object is a ball or not, just for the sake of object detection, okay, or object recognition. whether it is ball or not based on this three dimension. So suppose you have provided the orange. Okay, suppose you have provided the your suppose you have shown a orange to your model, and then you ask your model to identify it whether it is ball or not. And in this case you have provided three attributes. What are the three attributes? First is circular in nature or not. Yes, orange is circular. Second, whether it is eatable or not. Of course, suppose it is eatable, it is not a ball. So from the second attribute you can able to identify that yes, orange is not a ball. Now you have shown a ball to that particular model. Now again it will check the three attributes. What are the three attributes? First is whether it is circular in nature or not. Yes, it is circular. Is it eatable? No, ball is not eatable. Can we play with this ball? Yes, we can play. That means it is ball. Yes, we are recognize this as a ball. So this is a correct thing. Means in this way it is our model correctly identify that orange is not a ball, and when we have shown a ball it exactly identify it as a ball. Means it is a very good model, accurate model. Now let's take a simple another model. So in that case what we have done, we have increased one more dimension. So what are the three dimension? First dimension is circular, second one is eatable or not, and third one is can we play cricket or not. And in this case we will add one more attribute, that is color pink. Okay, we have added color pink. So by using this four attribute I have trained algorithm and I got the model M2. Now let's take a check the accuracy of this model. Again you have shown these two objects. If you have shown a orange, so again you will check this with the help of now four attribute. First attribute, it is circular nature. Yes, it is circular. Whether it is eatable? No, yes, it's eatable, so it is not a ball. So it is currently identified as a that it is not a ball. Now second thing, when you have shown a ball to that model, it will check it is circular. Yes. Whether it is eatable? No, it's not eatable. Can we play cricket? Can we play with that ball? Yes, we can play. And fourth is what? Whether it is pink in nature or not? No, correct, because my ball is red in nature. Okay, but in your attribute you have added the color as a pink, and though it is a ball, but you are given this as a while training this model, and in this case it is not correctly being identified. Though it is a ball, but still your model will reject it, that this red color ball is not accepted, it is rejected, and we consider that this is not a ball. So this is what in this case, though it is a ball, so it have rejected it. That means the model M2 is not accurate as compared to model 1, because we have seen model 1 correctly identified both the object. First object not a ball, and second object is a ball. Okay, so it is correct in nature. But in second model it has identified first model as a first object as a correct, that is it is orange is not a ball. It's okay, but we have shown a red color ball to that model, but still it is saying that no, it's not a ball. Why? Because it is not pink in color. That means in this case there is a problem of overfitting. You might heard about the concept of overfitting and underfitting. If you are giving too much data, if you are given too much attributes to the model, attributes to your algorithm get confused, your model get confused. That's why it is a case that if you increase the attribute in the while training, then your accuracy increases, but up to certain level there should be some threshold. After that threshold, if you increase the number of attributes, then it results into overfitting, and just because of overfitting your model is not able to perform properly. Overfitting means what? It will create a confusion. Now let's take a simple real life example. Now my aim is to teach student to develop a machine learning project. So I have given a complete knowledge of machine learning to that student, and then I also given the knowledge of deep learning. I also given in deep learning in depth also. I have shown web framework also, and number of things, and then I'm asking the student to develop this. So in this case what is happening, student may get confused whether to apply machine learning or deep learning to develop this particular project. So in that case it creates a confusion, and just because of that he is not able to perform properly. But in the another case what I have done, I have just only given the machine learning knowledge to that student, so that student can able to perform properly, because and he is developing the project very properly. So sometimes it is happening, means giving too much data, giving too much knowledge to that particular model, it will creates a overfitting. So this Cohen self-organizing network is also used for dimensionality reduction. And this Cohen network is also known as self-organizing map, so that we know. And then this is what architecture of Cohen self-organizing network. So in this case we can say that x1 and x2, these are the input, and whereas y1, y2, y3, these are the output node. Okay, these are the output node. y1, y2, y3, these are the output node, and x1, x2, these are the input node. It is similar to at the top competitive learning, because I told you that Cohen self-organizing network make use of competitive learning. So we have seen that in competitive learning, output nodes, all the nodes in the output layer compete with each other to get activated, and all these output nodes are connected with each other. This is again the same thing you observe in self-organizing network. Now this is another structure or another modified structure of a self-organizing MAC. This is another type of representation. Here x1, x2 input, and these are all the output. Similarly, this is another structure. I told you that the self-organizing map can be used for the process of clustering also. So in this case we can form these three cluster, 1, 2, 3, like that. So this Cohen self-organizing network can be represented in multiple ways. So these are the various ways. Now let's discuss the Cohen algorithm, Cohen self-organizing algorithm. So it is a 5-step process. So in this case, first step is what? You have to initialize the network with random weights. Initialize the neural network with a random weight. Initially you can assign the random weight, because you know that in case of a deep learning, in case of artificial neural network, weight play very important role, and initially you don't know what exactly the value of a weight that you should provide. Initially you will take the value of weight as a random weight. Then you have to select the input randomly, and then you have to choose a neuron having minimum Euclidean distance. Now let's take a simple example. I have taken this example from a channel, Bruno dos Santos. I found that this is a good example given by this channel, so I have taken it just for the sake of reference. So here I will show that these are the three inputs, x1, x2, x3. These are the three inputs, and w1, w2, w3, these are the weights for these three different output node. Let's say output node 1, output node 2, and output node 3. It is having three weights because we assign the value of weight between input and that particular output layer. So in this case, what we have done, initially we have initialized the neural network weight. Initially we have initialized the random weights to that. So these are the value of weights which we have initialized. Then select the input randomly. So in this case 2 inputs are there, so we have selected this input randomly. Then try to choose a neuron having minimum Euclidean distance. Now the question is that what do you mean by Euclidean distance? Euclidean distance you can calculate by using this particular formula. X1 minus w1 minus x1 minus w1 whole square plus x2 minus w2 whole square plus x3 minus w3 whole square, and you have to take the under root of this. So this is how, by using this formula, you can calculate the Euclidean distance. So here how Euclidean distance is calculated for first node: 0.5 minus 5 square plus 0.3 minus 13 square plus 0.7 minus 20 square. So if you calculate this, you got the value as a 23.5. and then for node output node 2, you will calculate this Euclidean distance. So 0.5 minus 14, 0.30 minus 7, 0.7 minus 3. So if you calculate this, you got this value as a 15.2. so obviously it is better as compared to first node. Then let's check it for third node also. 0.5 minus 2 whole square plus 0.3 minus 12 whole square plus 0.7 minus 30 whole square. So if you calculate it, you got this Euclidean distance as a 31.6. so out of these three, which one is a minimum, or you can say optimum Euclidean distance 2? So in this case I will choose a neuron having minimum Euclidean distance. So obviously I will select the neuron O2. I will select the second neuron because it is having a minimum Euclidean distance. So I have selected completed it, and now the next step is what? You have to modify the weights of the neuron. So in order to modify the weights of the neuron, you need to make use of this formula. So in this formula there are various notations is being used. So this small t represent the epoch, I represent a neuron, j represent the another neuron, and capital I of x represents the winning neuron. So by using this simply a formula, you are going to modify the weights of the neuron. And in the step number 5, what you have to do, you have to go to step 2 until training complete. So in this way this training is continuously going on. So this is how Kohanen algorithm works. So I hope you understand what is a Kohanen algorithm, or it is also called as a self-organizing map. Actually, self-organizing map, it is a category of a unsupervised learning technique, because see, we have seen machine learning, classification of machine learning, that is supervised, unsupervised. Similarly, in case of deep learning also we have classification as a supervised and unsupervised. So in case of deep learning, in case of supervised category, we have artificial neural network, we have CNN, that is convolutional neural network, and recurrent neural network. These are the three techniques which is part of the supervised learning in case of deep learning. And in case of unsupervised learning, in case of deep learning, we have self-organizing map, then autoencoder decoder, again autoencoder decoder. Yes, these are the things which are a part of unsupervised learning. So self-organizing map is one of the part of unsupervised learning, and especially the competitive learning. That means here the nodes in the output layer compete with each other to get activated. So here we have seen these three nodes are competing with each other in order to get selected. So obviously in this case the node is selected which is having a minimum Euclidean distance. So node O2 in the output layer gets selected because it is having a lowest Euclidean distance. So here we have seen how to calculate the Euclidean distance. So this is how this self learning map works. Thank you.